Imagine checking into a hotel with a dark past, a place where serial killers once slept, where suicides were so common they became a footnote in the building's history. Now imagine that during your stay, you vanish without a trace. The last image of you alive is a 4-minute elevator video so bizarre, so unsettling, that it would go on to haunt the internet forever. You gesture to someone or something that isn't there. You peek into the hallway as if running from a threat only you can see. And then, you simply disappear. Weeks later, your body is found exactly where no one thought to look, floating in a tank of drinking water on the hotel's roof. This is the story that defies all logic. This is the mysterious death of Elisa Lam. To understand what happened to Elisa Lam, you have to understand the stage on which this tragedy unfolded. In January 2013, the 21-year-old Canadian student was on a solo trip through California. She was described by friends as bubbly and outgoing, the kind of person who made friends easily. But internally, Elisa fought a private battle. She had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and was prescribed medication to manage it. Those sources suggest she had a history of not taking it consistently. On January 28th, she checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. If you know anything about the Cecil, you know it's not just a hotel. It's a character in its own horror story. Located in the gritty Skid Row district, the Cecil has been linked to the infamous Night Stalker Richard Ramirez, who lived there during his killing spree in the 80s, and the Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger. It was a place with a dark pulse, and Elisa had no idea she was walking into the epicenter of it. Almost immediately, things felt off. Elisa was supposed to be sharing a room, but her roommates became so alarmed by her behavior that they requested to be moved. According to the hotel manager at the time, Elisa had been leaving strange notes for other guests. Notes that said things like, "Go away and get out." She was acting erratically, and staff eventually moved her to a private room. Then came January 31st. That day, Elisa seemed normal to the outside world. She visited the last bookstore a few blocks away, buying souvenirs for her family back home. The staff there described her as outgoing, very lively, very friendly. But later that night, something snapped. Hotel staff recalled her wandering into the lobby, shouting, "I'm crazy, but so is LA." It was the last time anyone saw her alive. Almost. What happened next was captured by a grainy security camera. At 2 a.m., Elisa stepped into an elevator on the 14th floor. What followed is 4 minutes of footage that has been analyzed, dissected, and theorized about by millions of people around the world. Elisa enters the elevator and presses multiple buttons, almost every single one. The doors should close, but they don't. They stay open. She steps out into the hallway, looks left and right, and then retreats back into the elevator, pressing herself against the wall as if hiding from someone. She does this repeatedly, stepping out, gesturing with her hands, talking to no one. At one point, she waves her arms in front of her face, almost as if she's casting a spell or trying to ward something off. Then, just as suddenly as it started, she steps out one last time and disappears into the hallway. The elevator doors finally close, and it resumes its normal function. Elisa Lam was never seen alive again. For nearly 3 weeks, the search yielded nothing. Her family flew in from Canada, desperate for answers. Police scoured the hotel, used cadaver dogs, and released that chilling video to the public, hoping someone would recognize her or her pursuer. But the answer was literally right above them. On February 19th, guests at the Cecil Hotel began complaining about the water. It tasted off. It had low pressure. A maintenance worker named Santiago Lopez went to the roof to investigate the water tanks. There are 4 large cisterns up there, each holding thousands of liters of water. When Lopez climbed a ladder and peered into one of them, he made a gruesome discovery. Looking back at him was the naked, decomposing body of Elisa Lam, floating just below the surface. The tank was sealed with a heavy lid. The roof access was alarmed. The question that haunts this case is simple. How? In the years since, the internet has exploded with theories. Some point to the hotel's sinister history, suggesting evil spirits drove her to madness. Others noted the eerie parallels to the horror film Dark Water, where a young girl's body is found in a rooftop water tank. There are darker, more conspiracy-laden theories. Some noticed that a tuberculosis test used in medical labs is called Lam Elisa, her name backwards, and speculated she was part of a government bioweapon plot. Others believed she was murdered by a stalker who edited himself out of the footage. But the official ruling, handed down by the Los Angeles County coroner, is far more tragic and far less supernatural. They ruled her death an accidental drowning, with her bipolar disorder listed as a significant condition. The most logical explanation, though heartbreaking, is this. Elisa was in the throes of a severe manic episode. The behavior in the elevator, erratic, fearful, nonsensical, aligns with someone experiencing psychosis. If she had stopped taking her medication, as her family suggested she sometimes did, her grip on reality would have been fragile. In that state, she likely found her way to the roof, perhaps through a fire escape or an unlocked door. She may have seen the water tank as a place of safety or refuge from imaginary pursuers. Climbing inside, she would have found herself trapped. With no way to climb out, the cold water would have done the rest. So why does this case continue to captivate us? Because it sits at the intersection of the paranormal and the painfully real. We want to believe there's a monster to blame, because the alternative, that mental illness can lead a bright, beautiful young woman to a terrifying end in a tank of water, is just too sad to accept. The Cecil Hotel still stands, though it has since been rebranded and converted into affordable housing. But the ghosts that haunt it aren't the spirits of serial killers. They are the questions we can never fully answer. What was Elisa Lam running from in that elevator? Was it a person, a spirit, or the demons inside her own mind? Maybe the scariest truth of all is that we'll never really know. Thank you for watching True Crime Secrets. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell for more stories that defy explanation. And if you have a theory about the Elisa Lam case, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think.